Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and a very good morning to you all. Please be seated. Before we begin, I would like to first call upon Mr. Morgan Mahlangu, who is going to provide the safety briefing and provide direction of the emergency evacuation in case of any emergencies. Please come forward. Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to the CSIR International Convention Center. My name is Morgan Mahlangu. Sanitizing stations are located in the foyer and all around the building. In the unlikely event of an emergency, an alarm will sound throughout the building. Trained responders will give instructions on evacuation. Stay calm, take only belongings that you can carry. Emergency procedure: walk in an orderly manner, do not run. Responders will lead us to an emergency exit, then to the assembly point. Please observe 1 meter from other delegates and staff. General information: restrooms are available throughout the building. Please look out for signages. As this is a public building, please do not leave your valuables unattended. Wi-Fi information: free wireless internet access is available throughout the building. Select free CSIR ICC on your device, and no password is required. I thank you. Enjoy your time at the CSIR Convention Center.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mahlangu, for that safety briefing. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates, once again, a very good morning to everyone, and welcome to the first National Space Conference. This is actually our inaugural conference, because last year we had the SAGO and SND events that were combined. So this event is organized by the National Earth Observations and Space Secretariat, the South African National Space Agency, the CSIR, on behalf of the Department of Science and Innovation, in collaboration with the South African Air Force. This year's event and the theme is Space for Inclusive Growth, where we are going to critically examine more closely our current environment, institutions, both public and private, frameworks and programs, research, support systems, opportunities that we can have to create an ecosystem that will foster the growth and development of a vibrant, inclusive, and diverse space community. My name is Advocate Lulu Makapela. I'm the manager of the National Earth Observations and Space Secretariat, and it is my delight to be your program director today. Before we begin, let me start first by acknowledging the presence of our distinguished delegates. In absence, I would like to acknowledge Dr. Phil Mjwaha, the Director General of the Department of Science and Innovation, who will be joining us shortly at 11 o'clock. I would also wish to acknowledge the presence of Lieutenant General Wiseman Simon Mbambo, the Chief of the Air Force. I would also like to acknowledge Dr. Mboneni Moafe, who is the Deputy Director General, Socio-Economic Innovation Partnership at the Department of Science and Innovation, as well as Dr. Rakeshni Ramota, who is also the Deputy Director at the Department of Science and Innovation as well. I would also like to acknowledge Mr. Humbulani Mudau, who is the Chief Executive Officer for the South African National Space Agency, as well as my very own Group Executive, Dr. Kaven Naidu, who is the Group Executive for the Business Excellence and Integration at the CSIR. I also have to acknowledge the presence of all the heads of organizations, distinguished guests from the South Africa and abroad, because we do have people that have actually traveled for this conference. And my dear colleagues, I welcome you all. All protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to take a moment of silence as the space community would like to join SANSA in the mourning of the passing of Dr. Leanne McKinnell, who was the Managing Director of the Space Science Division of the South African National Space Agency. We would therefore like you to stand up and bow our heads in silence for a minute to acknowledge a life that has been well lived. Please be seated. May her legacy live on and we strive for greater things and show strength as she has shown, especially during her last days. Ladies and gentlemen, our event will undoubtedly teach us a lot about space science and technology and the impact in our daily lives. For the next 3 days, we have a lineup of panel discussions, technical sessions, and showcasing sessions. I am already excited about the lineup of speakers that we are going to have and the exciting topics that we will be deliberating upon. That is why that before we even start, before we dive into the business, we have a performance that is planned for you, for all of you. And this performance is in celebration of both Women's Month and our heritage, which is coming next month. Allow me, therefore, to call upon on stage the Basadi Limirupa. Let me firstly introduce them. Basadi Limirupa is a group of South African women who tell stories about their lives through marimba, songs, drums, dance, and the spoken word. Drumming has previously been a male-dominated cultural activity, but Drum Cafe's creation of Basadi Limirupa in 2003 turned the stereotype upside down. Representing the strength, the talent, and optimism of African women, Basadi provides a refreshing performance filled with original composition and choreography, exhilarating drumming, melodic marimbas, upbeat vocals, a wide variety of dances. Please do sit back and enjoy these few moments as they are going to present their performance to us. Basadi, the stage is yours. sathi hawuye sakuvuka sathi iphatha phatha sakuvuka sathi iyo mama iphatha phatha iyo mama iphatha phatha iyo mama iphatha phatha iyo mama eyibo iphatha phatha iyo mama phatha phatha iyo mama iphatha phatha iyo mama ngwana magana go botswa o etšitši komeng a re koma ke tšešo gane koma ke tša banna a re wa kwa
ndidibane nomqondisi eseqiqaqigwa liqaqa elasiqiqaqiqa eqongweni ngokumqala wakhe yaqaqamba anditsho umbonile anditsho awa nguNqongqothwa igqirha lendlela nguNqongqothwa iva igqirha Ladies and gentlemen, Basadi Limirupa, thank you very much.
Thank you so much to Basadi. We really thank you. I didn't know that they were going to sing about Seleqabele Qetapu Qongqothwane. I don't know who's going to interpret that for those who don't know. But it might mean we must hurry up because we no longer have time. But Qongqothwane is a very, very, very slow animal. So thank you so much, everybody. We're just going to take a few moments so that we can set up the stage for the opening session. Ladies and gentlemen, without wasting any further moment, allow me to welcome our distinguished guests again on the stage as we begin our opening ceremony. As indicated when we started, we have a very big program and a lineup of speakers that will be exciting today. But at this moment, I would like to firstly call upon Dr. Rakeshni Ramuta, who is the Deputy Director General at the Technology Innovation at the Department of Science and Innovation, to do the welcoming remarks for this morning. Dr. Ramuta, you are welcome on the stage. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director. To my boss, Dr. Fulham Jwacha, Director General of the Department in Science and Innovation, Dr. Mbaneni Molefe, my colleague and DDG at the department, Lieutenant General Wiseman Simo Mbambo, Chief of the Air Force at the South African Air Force, Dr. Kaveh Naidu, Group Executive at the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, Mr. Humbunani Mudau, Chief Executive Officer at the South African National Space Agencies, heads of organizations, distinguished guests. Good morning and welcome to the Jacaranda city of Pretoria. It's my pleasure today to provide the opening remarks to the first National Space Conference, which is organized by the National Earth Observation and Space Secretariat and proudly co-sponsored by the Department of Science and Innovation, the South African Air Force, the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, and the South African National Space Agency. Increasingly, it has become evident over the past decade that there's a growing dependency on Earth observation applications, products, and services to address societal challenges associated with climate, agriculture, and food security, natural resources, and disaster management. Such capabilities open the door for engaged, coordinated, equitable, and sustainable partnerships for knowledge sharing, impactful research, informed policy, and evidence-driven decision-making and action. In steering efforts towards realizing these goals, there's a parallel need to focus on solution-based outcomes and the demand for investing in the necessary skills and expertise, as well as the requisite physical and digital research infrastructures required to support the development of space missions, satellite communication, and space data integration. Collectively, these provide the foundational pillars for a vibrant and sustainable space innovation ecosystem, supported by research-intensive institutions, industry partners, government, private sectors, NGOs, and communities. Distinguished guests, today's conference echoes these sentiments and is appropriately themed Space for Inclusive Growth, which is premised on the powerful impact space has on addressing the wicked socioeconomic environmental challenges that plague our society. The impressive program of the next few days is a mixture of high-level keynote addresses and presentations, panel discussions, technical and showcasing sessions, as well as an exhibition of space and Earth observation applications, products, and solutions. Each of the 3 days is anchored on a specific theme. Day 1 today focuses on space and society. Day 2, space and industry, and the last day addresses the topic of space and the future. Over the next 3 days, you will be able to see 23 exhibitors from industry and academia, and I encourage everyone to have a look and engage the various exhibitors and get a better understanding of some of the space capabilities available to our country, for our country. Distinguished guests, many of you were present at the conference last year, which was called the SA Geo and Space for National Development Week, where on the final day, the Department of Science and Innovation committed towards supporting an annual conference of this nature. And here we are, commitment honored. Last year, we had a total of 227 participants, and I'm proud to report that this year we have had over 450 registered delegates. And I'm sure that over the next few days, you as delegates will have open and robust deliberations and discussions on growing the space economy. And I strongly advise that these discussions focus on transformative partnerships for joint research and development programs and exchanges, access to global infrastructures and investing in national platforms, human capital development through the investment in specialized education and training programs that support the evolving demands of the space industry. This also calls for redesigning and rethinking programs that focus on addressing the unjust legacies of the past, largely driven by the apartheid regime, and supporting the development and inclusion of women, youth, and people with disabilities by providing them with the opportunities to be trained and gain employment in space-related industries. And finally, stimulating space science technology and innovation capabilities that allows for the acquisition of a global market share for small to medium-sized space enterprises, not only for the country, but also for the continent. In all these engagements, due cognizance, proactive strides, and concerted efforts must be taken to ensure marginalized communities, including historically disadvantaged institutions and TVET colleges, are brought to the table and the discussions. In closing, I'd like to once again welcome you to the National Space Conference 2023, and I'd like to urge you as key stakeholders, as critical informants to shaping the national space economy, to kindly focus on strengthening not only the value chain in the space sector, but also anchor the conversations and strategic engagements and interventions on the principles outlined in the Decadal Plan, which advocates for the transformative potential of science, technology, and innovation in achieving greater impact and driving economic growth and employment through enhanced partnerships and coordination with all stakeholders across government, universities, private sector, and relevant communities. I look forward to fruitful discussions on how we can optimize cooperation, coordination, collaboration, and co-investment opportunities to create a vibrant national space economy. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ramuta, for the warm welcome and highlighting the impact of space, the impact that space had on society, and the need for parallel solutions to support informed decision-making. Moving along with the program as quickly as we can, ladies and gentlemen, let me call upon our first speaker to do the opening statement. That is Lieutenant General Wiseman Simon Mbambo, who is the Chief of the Air Force at the South African Air Force. Lieutenant General, the floor is yours.
Is a space power a pathway for South Africa's space economy? In his absence, Dr. Phil Mjwara, Director General, Department Science and Innovation, Dr. Mboneni Mufe, Deputy Director General, Department Science and Innovation, Dr. Rakeshni Rumata, Deputy Director General, Department Science and Innovation, Mr. Umbulan Mdau, Chief Executive Officer, South African National Space Agency, Dr. Kevin Naidu, Group Executive Business, Excellence and Integration, National Earth Observation and Space Secretariat, members of defense industry, members of the aerospace industry, members of the space industry, members of the South African National Defense Force, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. I am Lieutenant General Wiseman Bambo, the Chief of the South African Air Force. On behalf of the Chief of the South African National Defence Force, General Ruzani Maphwanya, we, as members of the defense, feel honored to be associated with a community that is transcending beyond innovation. The South African economy, and by extension our nation, is facing headwinds as we attempt to navigate the myriad of challenges that plague us both domestically and internationally. It is our responsibility as citizens to contribute towards growing our nation, no matter how small an impact we can have. It is our social responsibility as a collective to always consider the impact of the nexus of poverty, social inequality, and unemployment on the security of our nation. However, within those challenges lie opportunities to be unearthed if we as a community have the vision to see and the boldness to seize them through our common beliefs and value systems. I have seen the impact we have made since collaborating from less than a year ago. In the words of Mahatma Gandhi, open quote, "We must be the change we want to see in the world," close quote. And it is only by collaboration that we can rise together and help chart a path into the future. At this point, it is important to note the event of the past few weeks, beginning with a visit by the Russian Space Agency to the South African National Space Agency, and most recently, the position our country has taken within BRICS to collaborate on space-related efforts. I have the privilege of leading an organization that has always been at the forefront of technology and development amongst countries worldwide. Air forces in the last century were driving technological development, which translates into industrialization, jobs, and gains in real economy. The Chief of the South African National Defence Force, General Ruzani Maphwanya, has set the SANDF on a journey to greatness. This is in line with the directive given by the Department of Defence to the Defence Force as a collective. It is a responsibility that I am confident our men and women in uniform will take up and carry with pride. The Department of Defence can rest assured that the South African National Defence Force will successfully execute the task that has been entrusted on us. Space power is but one path to that new economy, a method to undergird the National Development Plan and help usher South Africa into the fourth industrial revolution and beyond. Space activities, once the realm of science fiction, were confined to a few affluent industrialized nations. However, as cutting-edge technology becomes more prevalent, South Africa is uniquely placed to enter that realm. The space domain is but one facet of the journey that we as South Africans are taking on our continued quest to greatness. South Africa possesses space manufacturing capabilities that can grow exponentially and help uplift our people. Over the last few decades, the private space industry kept the light alive, with various companies being spawned from the Sunset program from the 1990s. It is with great joy when I and others in this country followed the launch of the AgriSat ZA1, developed and built by Dragonfly. Also, Chimera, New Space and CubeSpace are but a few examples of South African companies achieving great strides in the space environment and who have already proven that South Africa as a nation is capable, competent, and willing. In the government sphere, SANSA has taken the lead with new partners recently announced with other space agencies. Ground being broken at a new site in addition to the long heritage that SANSA space operations already have in the field. In Hermanus, the recently unveiled space weather section is already contributing to our knowledge of the effects of space weather on terrestrial, airborne, and orbital equipment. The Department of Science and Innovation has funded projects at various institutes of higher learning, and the results are now becoming tangible. The Cape Peninsula University of Technology has developed into a world-class designer and manufacturer of cube satellites, and the University of KwaZulu-Natal has successfully completed the Phoenix sounding rocket program and is preparing to develop a locally built commercial launch vehicle. The knowledge and capability acquired are not something we should ignore or now waste. As we look at other nations around us, we see the driving themes being cooperation between government, private institutions, and industries. We see themes of innovation and mindset change. We see the marshalling of a nation's resources to meet national objectives, and I realize that South Africa is ideally placed to capitalize on the new space economy. We have a highly skilled, albeit small, workforce. To complement that workforce, we have well-placed, knowledgeable, and resourced institutions that can train and nurture future leaders. We have specialized manufacturing capabilities around the country, as well as natural resources to support the growth of those industries. From my engagements and evidenced by this conference, we have the drive, the motivation, and more importantly, the desire to go into space once again in a more substantive manner. The only way to achieve this is through collaboration to ensure that limited resources are used effectively. Space has the ability to meet multiple national imperatives and help achieve the goals across different government departments. From Department of Agriculture, Fisheries, and Forestry, to Department of Minerals, Resources, and Energy, and of course, the Department of Defense. A concerted space effort must make a whole nation approach, both public and private, to ensure success. We looked into the impact of space in recent military campaigns, and we have seen that it has become a critical success factor. The Italian Air and Space Power Conference highlighted the relevance of the space domain in modern warfare. The driving theme was that space is an enabler of all other domains of warfare, and no modern war can be fought without space support. Space is the ultimate high ground. The space domain will enhance our military capabilities within the African continent. A locally developed space program will result in a significant number of knock-on effects for the South African economy. It will translate into high technology jobs and stem the current brain drain of our educated officials. By encouraging local content, it will stimulate the recovery and growth of specialist manufacturing industries from steel to electronic components, with the added knock-on effect of general support services to enable these industries to flourish. If I look around at the South African space industry, I see development occurring across the entire spectrum. DSI recently completed a study that demonstrates the fiscal and economic feasibility of developing a local launch capability. The return on investment will be an order of magnitude higher than the investment required. This will yield dividends for many years to come and help ensure that the youth of South Africa will also be able to look to the stars and know that they too can achieve what was first considered impossible. The Council for the Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, recently completed a feasibility study for the South African Air Force, considering various locally designed and manufactured satellite solutions. These have looked at multiple sensor capabilities and payloads covering a myriad of defense and civilian objectives. The South African Air Force is currently considering the options that were developed, and we hope to make a decision before the final quarter of this year. I have already begun the process of transforming the South African Air Force into an air and space power force. The South African Air Force hosted the first Air and Space Symposium in 2022, which was widely successful. The Space Command Integrated Planning Team was formed last year, and they made great strides in establishing the capability and capacity within our nation. Close collaboration with other government departments have ensured that we do not operate in silos and can apply the whole nation approach within the South African Air Force, with the South African Air Force taking a leading role. We already engaged with partner nations and planned many more within the coming months. These engagements will ensure that we keep up with the international best practices and that we do not waste resources, but rather pursue avenues that will best benefit the interest of our nation. In addition, the Military Aviation Aerospace Authority regulation framework is currently being developed that will encompass both air and space domains. I want to make a moment here to congratulate NEOS on the hosting of this event. It was with pride that I received the invitation for the South African Air Force to be a participant. It is proof to me of the strides taken by the SANDF team in ensuring that the South African Air Force remains relevant and helps lead our new venture into space. The South African Air Force will always be a partner to technological development, and it is critical to me that the South African Air Force participate in these types of events now and into the future. I am glad to see the interest that space sparked in our nation. This first National Space Conference shows me that we have the people, capability, and most importantly, the willingness to be a contributor to humanity's foray into space. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our international partners for taking time to attend and affording us the networking opportunity that spurs innovation and fosters creativity. It is only through collaboration that we can all succeed. I am confident that this will be the first of many future engagements. A journey to greatness starts with but one step. National space power is an element of our nation's journey to greatness, and it is with pride that I take note that this successful event is a continuance of that journey. This journey will continue next year with the South African Air Force planning to host a space display at Air Force Base Swarthops Air Show that will be a precursor to the second Air and Space Symposium to be held in conjunction with the Africa Aerospace and Defense Show in 2024. I take this opportunity to invite all to attend the forthcoming events and to ensure that we continue to strengthen our collaboration. The South African Air Force vision remains relevant. Effective air and space power through innovation in the theater of our operations. And our mission is through consistent innovation, we provide deployable, multi-role air and space capabilities for the SANDF in service of our country. This conference confirms that the future of our nation is bright, irrespective of the challenges we face today. The spirit behind the South African Air Force logo captures it all. Air, Aspera, and Astra. From adversity to the stars. I now declare this conference open, official. I thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant General Bambo, for emphasizing the collective responsibility that we have as a community to address socio-economic challenges and the security for our nation, and for stressing the importance of collaborating with the private sector to strengthen the capabilities that we have, as well as, especially because we are very, very much well positioned to drive the space activity as the country. So, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, let me now take this opportunity to call our next speaker, Dr. Mboneni Muofe, who is the Deputy Director General, Socio-Economic Development and Technology at the Department of Science and Innovation. He is also the lead co-chair for the International Group on Earth Observation, so that he can be able to do the opening statements for us. Dr. Muofe, the floor is yours.
Thank you, advocates, and good morning, everyone. To Dr. Phil Joha, the Director General of the Department of Science and Innovation, who, if not already here, is going to be joining us very soon. Lieutenant General Wasman Mambo, the Chief of the Air Force, South African Air Force, the greatest honor to ours to have you here. We are quite mindful of the many important engagements that are competing for the dialogue space. And the fact that you are here is a great honor for us. My colleague, Dr. Rakeshni Ramuta, who is also Deputy Director General in the department, Mr. Hulani Dao, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Space Agency, Dr. Kevin Naitu, Group Executive, Business Excellence and Integration in Council for Scientific Industrial Research, various heads of delegation, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor for me to stand here today to give my statement on this very special day. I really want to first convey my heartfelt condolences to the South African National Space Agency on the passing of Dr. Ian Makino, whose passing has probably caught us by surprise. Most instances when people pass away, they always catch you by surprise. But this was really a serious surprise for us. She's gone, but she lives. And her legacy is always going to be remembered. South Africa currently holds one of the few regional centers for space weather. Much of it really having been the hard work that she has put in the background and the fights that she has taken. And that basically brings me to the point that I want to raise, which is quite crucial. It is that while we deal with the issues and challenges around poverty meaning the simplest definition, not having access or not having resources of whatever nature. I think the biggest poverty of all is the poverty of ideas. And if we can have ideas, we can easily deal with the poverty of resources. I think Mr. Mudau will recall that while we stand here celebrating so much of the successes that we've made in the area of space sciences, you'll probably be surprised that we never had a budget for any of the big achievements that we made. Over the past couple of years that I was Deputy Director General for Technology Innovation and also responsible for the space science program, we have launched, I think, about 4 true satellites. We didn't have a budget for the true satellites. During the same period, we have been able to, working with the University of KwaZulu-Natal, establish a very vibrant rocket manufacturing and launching capability. And I also need to say that we didn't have a budget for it. During the same period, ladies and gentlemen, we last year celebrated the launch of the Regional Space Weather Center, which the certain thereof was done during COVID.
And it was finished before COVID finished. Basically, if we believe COVID is gone. We didn't have a budget for the Space Weather Center. And the reason why I'm raising these things is that the level of brain capability that is sitting in this house is enough to take us beyond what we normally consider as lack. Because if we're able to produce the ideas that this country requires, we will be able to access the resources that are required to do that which we need to do. We have gone through the various programs within the department to find the money, and we found the money. And today we stand here boasting about those programs. You go to our line items in the budget, you're not going to find any allocation to do those kind of things. So why did we have to do all that? And in most instances, risk failing. You know, one of the things that you really need to do if you don't want to fail, do nothing. And people will tell you that it's easier to do nothing in government because you will still continue to be in government. But it is important for us to note that some of us are not in government because we don't have anything to do. We are in government because we want to build a capable state. We want to see this country a success. And hence, we invest and take risk on things that sometimes can put even our own careers at risk. So we appreciate now that the world has finally woken up to the realization that space science and technologies are not about space. They are not tools of Cold War, as we are beginning to see time and again, that there is such an appetite around polarization and bringing the Cold War back into life. Space is not just about the distance between the planets and other things in the universe or in the cosmos. As Lieutenant General has said, when we talk space, we are talking about matters of the economy. We are talking about livelihood. We are talking about food security. We are talking about general safety of the citizens. Safe communities, higher standards of living, what we call quality of life. So ultimately, we can say space is actually about life itself. Because the bulk of things that we do today wouldn't be possible if there isn't investment and development of space technologies. And I think the most crucial thing about space science and technology is that they create a platform for access and inclusion. Whether you talk about internet connectivity, whether you talk about making sure that everybody wakes up and they're able to know what's there for them, whether you are a farmer, whether you are in the transport business, everything that you run ultimately. And we keep reminding people that they don't understand that even things such as banking are ever so reliant on space science and technologies. So when the South African's white paper for science, technology, and innovation was developed, including the decadal plans, which are the instrument of its implementation, one of the things that we already realized, which really makes this very special, Lieutenant General, is that we need to do things not as government departments, and actually not even just as government, but as South Africa Inc. If there is one thing that this country needs to learn, is that we are everybody as a country. We are government, we are the private sector, we are the academia, and we are the ordinary citizens. And if you happen to be in Tanzania, they will say we are the Wananchi. So when we look at what the decadal plan wants to do, one of the critical areas is about modernizing some of the sectors of our economy. And this will include manufacturing, and I think Lieutenant General's presentation covered a lot of what we can do and rejuvenate our economy through the manufacturing aspect. And the modernization also means bring on board aspects of secularization. How do we make sure that as we manufacture, we minimize waste and make sure that we can make the best out of what we have? The issue of the modernization of agriculture, that cannot happen without space science. Mining, prospecting, and related activities, again, this area is going to be quite crucial in ensuring that, in the end, when we talk about space science, there isn't going to be a capable state that doesn't play seriously in this area. because ultimately you are going to have to rely on others. And we know that when you rely on others, they also determine what you do, what you say, who you say it to, and how you say it. So basically, you cannot be capable and independent if you don't grasp the role and the importance of this area. So when we look at satellite Earth observations, communications, and positioning, they remain the currency of life today. So technologies such as weather forecasting, remote sensing, global positioning systems, they are now the mainstay in farming, in agriculture, including innovations that we have never dreamt of in the area of farming. And some of the programs that we're implementing are just piloting how we can actually then make sure that we empower even the smallholder farmers. And what this means is that you enable us to be food secure, so that we don't sit here and complain that we are not getting food or we are not getting grain because something is happening somewhere far away, when we still have got our own country and our land and our rain and our water, and we are in a continent that actually has got the most fertile soils. So we therefore need to know this and also realize that even as we look at how things are emerging, we need to take the lead and then be able to handhold our brothers and sisters in the rest of the continent. So once the reserve of the developed countries, in recent years, the open access of geospatial data products and services, and the lower cost of geospatial information technology facilities have stimulated the adoption of space technologies in developing countries, and hence the use of technologies such as Open Data Cube. We need to then say, how do we take advantage of these technologies to leapfrog and do what we have done? And as a continent, we have shown that we can do this with what we have been doing in the mobile telephone space, being leaders as a continent when it comes to aspects of mobile money and so on and so forth. Now, using these tools in space sciences, we actually need to then be able to leapfrog and go over some of the achievements that have been done by developed countries. We all know, for example, the WMO, through its agricultural meteorology program, provides weather and drought forecasting services to farmers, herders, and fishers to promote sustainable agricultural development, increase agricultural productivity, and contribute to food security. In health, and this is really one area where space, in my view, has been underutilized. The use of telecommunication, positioning, and tracking. Space-based research play a crucial role in supporting decision-making, improved care, education, and early warning measures. These technologies can be used to monitor disease patterns, understand environmental triggers for spread of diseases, prediction of risk areas, and identification of regions that require disease control planning. This can cover disease outbreaks including malaria, meningitis, and cholera. And ourselves, as the country, we were deploying space-based technologies during COVID to do all sorts of prediction. And this is why it shouldn't surprise you to hear that South Africa was one of the leading countries in terms of using science and technology to deal with COVID challenge. So I have mentioned that in terms of its utilization in telemedicine, telehealth, disease surveillance systems, and health mapping, we're still lacking. And we need to really improve on that. Regarding disasters, according to UNCTAD, between 1998 and 2017, 1.3 million people were killed globally by climate-related geophysical disasters, and a further 4.4 billion displaced, injured, or left homeless, or in need of emergency assistance. Now, in South Africa, we are seeing what is happening, especially Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal with disasters. And we have been timelessly using space-based technologies to intervene there. So we need to, and it really for me is a big challenge that, Mr. Mdau, while we are using space-based technologies, we are still using other people's toys. And you know, other people can be very nice, but sometimes they lose their niceness and they switch the tap when you need it most. We had to go with a big and bowl. Okay, can we stimulate this treaty and that treaty so that we can get the latest satellite imagery to do this and this? And one of these days they are going to say, just go and jump. So we really look forward to what we can do with the Space Infrastructure Hub. In terms of beginning to manufacture, we have the capability, chairperson of the Sensor Board, manufacture our own satellites. We need to do that as in yesterdays. We need to have those sooner. We need to continue to strengthen and build our launching capabilities. Because otherwise, all these good things that I've mentioned that space science can do, we know that a button can be switched off. So, and I'm saying this, and as the advocate has said in closing, that I am the geo-principal representing South Africa in the Group on Earth Observations. We find that this is a tool that we can use even in managing our own natural resources, making sure that our borders are safe, making sure that the OSIMS is strengthened to be able to do what it is supposed to do in terms of how we monitor our ocean resources, the fisheries, and so on and so forth. So we therefore continue to be proud of our involvement in the Group on Earth Observation, and I must say that we are pleased that this year in November, the 6th to the 10th, we are hosting the Ministerial Summit, the Geo-Ministerial Summit. And this is really about us beginning to adopt what is going to be the footprint of the kind of the Group on Earth Observations we need for the next 10 years. So it is a very crucial meeting. So we can only do more if we take advantage of important occasions like this, where we really sharpen our own minds about what we need to do. The Bible says iron sharpens iron. And unless we come here and we sharpen each other, we tell each other the difficult truth. If we sit here and we're mediocre, it's not going to help anybody. There's no mediocrity in space science. I always say when you deal with space science, it's not as if you are dealing with a bicycle. In space science, you need a lot of accuracy, sharpness, and the presence of mind in whatever you do. So it therefore excites me that the DSI, the Space Agency, the South African Air Force, we have today joined hands to construct a future that we want for our country. And this construction is not going to be easy, because if it was easy, it would have been done. And for the reason that it is difficult, we are going to pursue it and we are going to get it right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moafe, for the opening statement, and particularly reminding us that we should not focus on our limited resources, as we do have the capability to build the programs. So you are also giving us a very, very, straightforward I think, message that we need to take risks. And that will ensure that we are able to access the necessary resources that will help us to build space capabilities to resolve societal challenges. I also want to thank you for giving the homework to Mr. Mudau so that he's able to lead us as the community going forward to ensure that, we carry this message forward and we gather and we implement it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to require your indulgence for a few other minutes so that we can finish the opening session. So without delays, let me call our next speaker, Dr. Kaven Naidu, who is the Group Executive Business Excellence and Integration at the CSIR. And he is also responsible for many programs such as the National Earth Observations and Space Secretariat that are hosted on behalf of the Department of Science and Innovation. Dr. Naidu, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Program Director. DG for the DSI, Dr. Phil Majwacha, Lieutenant General Mambo, Chief of the South African Air Force, Dr. Moape, DDG, DSI, Dr. Ramata, DGG from the DSI, heads of organizations, industry, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Before I begin, a year ago, to this day, in this venue, during the break, I had the privilege to meet with Dr. Leanne McKinnell. I was very shocked to hear yesterday that she had passed away. It just reminds us that, nothing can be taken for granted, so we should do what we can do today. So my deepest sympathies go to the SANZA team, her friends and colleagues, and her family, and this space science community for having lost a wonderful and exceptional human being. Rest in peace, Dr. McKinnell. I have a challenge this morning that I'm speaking in the wake of the Chief of the Air Force and Dr. Moape and Dr. Ramata. And Lieutenant General, you've covered everything that we need to speak this morning. I couldn't say it better. I think anything that I'm going to say between yourself and Dr. Moape and Dr. Ramata, I would be diminishing the message, but let me not try to do that. So I'm going to try and be brief, but maybe touch on a few important points, but emphasize some of the things that you've touched on. So it's really an honor and a privilege for us to have been requested to make opening remarks at this very momentous occasion of the launch of the first National Space Conference amongst such distinguished company. The first space conference is a really significant milestone for this country, made possible by the Department of Science and Innovation, the National Earth Observation and Space Secretariat, the South African Air Force, and the National Space Agency. Now, when you see a company like this on one stage, I wanted to say, it seems like we're up to no good, but it's a sign of good things to come. It's really a sign for good things to come. It's very symbolic that we have the commitment of the parties on the stage. My congratulations go to the organizers for putting together such an incredible program over the next 3 days. And while it seems that lamenting our challenges as a country is becoming a favorite pastime, and I think we can easily forget this and take for granted the many endowments we have as a country. The program for the next 3 days just confirms what we have in terms of our people, our talent, our national capabilities, our resources, our can-do attitude. Dr. Moape spoke about so many things that we achieved without a budget. So can-do attitude is our insignia as South Africans. We will build on these things. We must and we shall. When I see the collective assembled on this stage and their commitment to open this first National Space Conference, I'm so encouraged about the possibilities that lie ahead. On the one hand, we have the DSI driving the establishment of national capabilities for impact in society through R&D, science and R&D outcomes. On the other hand, we have the Department of Defense investing in strategic and sovereign capabilities, as well as the deployment of these capabilities for the purpose of national security. For many of us, we sleep peacefully at night, not realizing that there are others losing sleep to make sure that we are safe. And that's the Department of Defense. And then the likes of the SANZA and the CSR housing deep technical capabilities in support of the DSI and the DoD. I want to acknowledge the great work done by the Department of Science and Innovation, with the vision and the patience to drive investment in the establishment and advancement of national capabilities. This investment in the capacity in the system enables many actors to address many needs of our country, as well as ensuring our industries to be competitive on a world stage. When something is an idea, private sector is not interested. Ideas are a dime a dozen. It is when the likes of the DSI invests and de-risks these ideas that commercial viability is an option. And that's when private sector comes in. So we want to thank the DSI for that. These complex, high-tech industries don't just happen by themselves. So thank you, DSI. I also want to take the time to acknowledge the Department of Defense, the SANDF, for investing significantly in the development and deployment of niche capabilities. Whether it's strategic airlift, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, air superiority, our Air Force is always ready. So our DoD, our Air Force, our Army, our Navy, our Special Forces, Defense, Intelligence, and yes, medical services too, have spared no effort to stretch every penny of the state to maintain a strategic, responsive, capable, ready national defense force. What we do with the pennies we get for national defense, no other country has done. The directed investment on strategic capabilities, technologies, products, systems, and supply chains have resulted in an industry that exports to all parts of the globe, from world-class sensor systems, missile systems, land vehicles, to attack helicopters. Some of the successful exporting industry players today in this audience have their origins in programs from the DoD from years ago. Which country can say they've done this much with the endowment of investment that we have put in place? I want to speak a little bit about the CSR. So as an institution, we were established 77 years ago, as many of you may know. In the first council meeting of the CSR on the 8th of October 1945, Jan Smuts, the then Prime Minister of the Union of SA, had this to say: "I'm confident that this body will become one of the most important organizations of advancement in this country. Science has come forward in gigantic strides, and more, everyone is beginning to realize that scientific research is a matter of vital importance." He had the vision that this institution will become critical in the industrialization and advancement of this economy, this region, and the continent. But it also speaks to the importance of leadership, of strategy, and execution. You know, when we were younger, we could always point upwards that leadership needs to do X, Y, and Z. At this time in my life and at this time in our lives, we can't point anywhere else. It has to stop here. Leadership is nowhere outside this room. Leadership is here. And so over the decades, I've experienced this organization living up to the lofty ideals set by our founders more than 70 years ago. And the contributions from this institution include countless contributions to global knowledge, development and deployment of novel solutions and technologies, contributions to national policy, national standards, enabling a capable state and competitive industrial base, hosting programs like the Mandela Mining Precinct and the Earth Observation Secretariat. And in the elaborate tapestry of state and national institutions, many have roots in the CSR, including the NRF, the South African National Space Agency, the Human Sciences Research Council, DENEL, and the list goes on. And during the early days of COVID, I just want to use this as an example, it speaks to sovereign and strategic capabilities and the ability to respond. Dr. Moepe, to your point, during the early days of COVID, a small team of engineers decided to build a ventilator. Not because anyone asked them to, not because there was a project, not because there was funding, just because they could. And at that time, no resources and no prior investment in that particular design. But within 3 months, the team developed a system prototype, and in ensuing months, delivered and deployed 18,000 ventilators. At a time when nations around the world were hoarding supplies to exclusively serve own national interests, there was so much of fear. Can one place a price on strategic capabilities? Can one place a price? And this is the importance of building capacity in the system. In another part of the organization, the investment in sonar technology by the Navy over decades have resulted in a low-cost ultrasound system called AmbiFlow. And AmbiFlow is a medical device that uses sonar to measure blood flow between mother and her fetus while in the womb. And local clinical trials in our communities, we've shown that we were able to reduce stillbirth rates by up to 50%. The World Health Organization further conducted independent trials on AmbiFlow. Ghana, India, Kenya, and Rwanda now being licensed for commercialization. Deployed at 1/10 of the cost of the most modern technology in the world. So once again, can you place a price on the power of national capabilities and the ability to solve our own challenges? So in terms of space-related capabilities, this organization is investing in a number of strategic capabilities with the support and the leadership of the DSI and the DoD, everything from remote sensing for precision agriculture, urban and town planning, disaster management, security applications, and engineering novel sensors like space-borne synthetic aperture radar and optical cameras. We want to say we are here to support the DoD, the DSI, and the Space Agency, as well as the industry, in the coordination of this national system. When I speak to the example of Jan Smuts, the leaders and the founders architected a system that would address the needs of the country. That's us. It is up to us to architect and to coordinate the system. And fellow panel members, Chief of the Air Force, we stand ready and able. As the host of NEOS, on behalf of the DSI, we have achieved much in the last year. We've activated 8 communities of practice in a variety of societal benefit areas, including human settlements, infrastructure, data governance, agriculture, food security, climate action, circular economy, natural resource management. In closing, I would like to congratulate the DSI, the Space Agency, and the Air Force on this occasion of the first National Space Conference. I want to say we stand ready to serve and partner with you on the conceptualization and achievement of this strategic capability in space for the benefit of our people. When the Port St. John's disaster was unfolding, Dr. Moepe wasn't on a plane from Switzerland at the time. And the point I'm trying to make is we don't work in government because we have nothing else to do. Dr. Moepe doesn't sleep. He doesn't sleep. So he gets off a plane, spent the entire night, Saturday morning arrives, I sent him a message. He was even receiving messages on the plane. And I say, we've received a call from officials in Port St. John's, and we need to get together. Gets off the plane on the runway, hasn't fetched his bags, calls me and says, I will pick up the phone, get Sansa on a call, pick up the phone and get other partners on board. Within a few hours, we were engaging with the National Space Agency, colleagues around the CSR, officials in the municipality, discussing about deployment of capability to support a national effort. So we are restless, we are ready, and we are really urgent about getting this off the ground. So colleagues, members of the panel, Chief of the Air Force, officials from the DSI, we stand ready and able, and let's do this. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Dr. Kaven Naidu, for the captivating statement. I have just been made aware of the presence of the Director General for the unveiling at the other venue. So it seems I have to speed things along. And I know I'm going to disadvantage you, Mr. Mudau. And so I would really call upon you, but unfortunately we have cut your speech to 5 minutes, which is, so I know everybody said, but so we've cut your speech to 5 minutes, and we hope that you will be able to highlight, of course, those important aspects that you wanted to convey today. So, Dr. Mudau, over to you.
Thank you very much, Advocate Makapela. I just want to take this moment to welcome everybody. This is our first, and Lulu and Asanda will tell you that when we sat having lunch on that afternoon, I said I would like to see the entire space community engaging, and here we are. In numbers, 450. And I just want to say to my colleagues from the DSI, SANSA, the CSIR, well done and congratulations. I would like to acknowledge, of course, the Chief of the Air Force, Lieutenant General Wiseman Bambo, DDG Mwope, DDG Ramuta, and Dr. Naidu, my friend. But I would like to also welcome our friends from the SADC region who are here. But I would like to also just say a special welcome to mon frère, Professor David Ngidu Boabua, from the DRC Central National Télédétection. And because I've been given 5 minutes, and for those who know me, I had prepared a speech. So what we're going to do with my colleagues who are here is to I will post this speech on SANSA social media so that we can share with you the vision that we have at the Space Agency, the direction that we're taking as the Space Agency, which of course, Dr. Mope, the Space Infrastructure Hub, it's a very critical initiative for us. But what's even more important, it has given us an opportunity as the Space Agency to really apply our minds on how we treat that as an investment, and it's really exciting. I just want to acknowledge, of course, the presence of the chairperson of the board, Mr. Ndlovu, as well as the board member, my one and only friend, Ms. Jesindaba. You're all welcome. But I'm saying this is going to be an exciting 3 days where we're going to be sharing, our experiences. It's been a long journey, as you've heard from Dr. Mope. We've built this because we believed and we knew we had this we can do attitude. And where we are with the unveiling that's going to happen, and that has, ended up for me getting 5 minutes. It was through the hard work that we had a vision with UKZN, and we are still continuing in building with that vision. But I just want to also thank you for the tributes and the honor, all the messages of condolences that we've received for our colleagues, Dr. Leanne McKinnelly. We have promised last week, as we celebrated her life, to say we're going to continue with building on her legacy. So, ladies and gentlemen, everybody, welcome to our first and our inaugural South African National Space Conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our first portion of the opening session. So at this moment, we are just going to kindly request the ushers, of course, to assist us in directing our distinguished guest to our next venue, which is for us to complete our process for today, because the next session will be focusing on the opening of the exhibition and the unveiling of the Sapphire rocket that was developed by UKZN.